Let's shake and bacon. Today we're making bratwurst. We're finally making sausage. Today's video is in collaboration with Greg from the Gourmet Woodsman YouTube channel. Let me tell you, when Greg reached out to see if we were interested in working together on some videos, I thought I imagined the notification. He's like a celebrity to us over here. So needless to say, I am incredibly excited about this. So once you're done watching this video over here, make sure you go check out his video where he has probably improved upon the duck pastrami recipe that we made. He said that bratwurst was a good beginner level sausage, and it being fresh means there's no curing or smoking needed. Our process starts with a whole pork butt, or pork shoulder, whatever you want to call it. Greg says that pork shoulders generally have a really good fat content for sausages on their own.
A pork butt's gonna generally be the right fat content.
You can of course add fat if you want to, but we're just gonna roll with the pork shoulder today. And if you're interested in learning how to take one of these and turn it into roasts and steaks and a bunch of other things, we have a video on that. So I can link that in the description and on the screen if you are curious. I'm gonna bone it out first. You don't have to, since we're just cutting this up into pieces, but I'm just gonna get the bone out of the way. Plus it's good practice for me. A little sloppy, but that's okay. We're gonna save this bone for stock. We're gonna cut this thing into about 1/2-inch cubes. That was the size that was recommended since we're using a KitchenAid attachment to do everything today. The last time I made sausage, I was still in school. If I can find any pictures, because I think I have some from that day in class, I'll put them on the screen here. I'll never forget how so many of my classmates were really wigged out by raw meat, and we made a lot of like force meats and pâtés and stuff like that, so we worked with quite a bit of raw meat in that class. I always thought I was kind of weird for finding it so fascinating, but look at me now. I'm sharing my fascination on the internet. So moral of the story, be weird, no one will care later. Now that we're done cutting up our pork, I'm going to weigh it. I did already weigh the bowl before we started, so make sure you do that so you have an accurate weight. Our pork weighs 4,068 grams. I did it in grams because I'm doing all of the other measurements in grams, and that way it's easier for my brain. We're gonna go put our pork into the freezer to let it cool down. We're gonna try and keep this as cold as possible today, as well as make sure that our grinder parts are also in the freezer. They won't hold the cold super well, but heat is the enemy.
Air is the enemy of all sausage, along with heat.
While the meat and the grinder parts chill in the freezer, we're gonna make up the seasoning for our bratwurst. But first we're gonna have to do some math. And this is because Greg's recipe is all in percentages, which is great because it's super easy to scale it to however much meat you have. So let's do some math. We only had whole allspice, so I actually had to grind this up this morning, and it smells so good. That's our seasoning mixture. Oh, that smells so good. We need about 200 grams of cream. Now we get to put the grinder together. Ooh, cold, so cold. This might be a little bit full. She is beauty, she is grace, she is Sandra Bullock. Anyway, I am really excited to use this attachment for our KitchenAid. Xavier got it for me a couple years ago for Christmas, and today is the first time I'm using it. But anyway, this is Benjamin, our stand mixer. He's honored to make your acquaintance. Our meat is temping at right around like 35 degrees, which is good, nice and cold. While my grinder is not KitchenAid branded, it comes with essentially all the same things, and we are going to be using the medium-sized grind plate for this. Greg isn't the biggest fan of using KitchenAids for sausage making, but it's what we got, so it's what we're working with. This is gonna be real loud. I'm gonna put Benjamin on a high speed and just gradually feed our meat through the grinder. It's coming out a little wormy, which just means that the grinder, probably the head of the grinder, this part, is not on as tight as it could be, and it's not. The biggest reason that we're trying to keep everything cold is because this is working really hard and creating a lot of heat, and we don't want to melt any of our fat while it's going through the grinder. Then we continue. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is much more than I envisioned. But this is what I get for buying a 9-pound pork butt, isn't it? Maybe go smaller. At the tail end of the grinding, when all the meat was already gone through, I took a little bit of the already ground meat and I put it back through just to make sure it cleaned out as much of the meat from here as possible. Surprise, surprise, I'm gonna put the meat back in the freezer to cool back down, and I'm also going to go ahead and clean the grinder parts and put those back in the freezer to cool back down as well, because we will need most of these parts for the sausage stuffing portion. So I'm gonna let these guys chill again and get ready for the next phase, which is mixing. They only came in one size, they're a little big. I think I'm going to do this in like portions. I have no idea how long this is going to take. Greg always speeds this part up in his videos. And now we mix. We're gonna mix this up until it gets really sticky and stringy. We are extracting the proteins. I just moved the table, didn't I? Well, this is big boy work. No, big girl work. Big person, determined person. Oh look, there's just a piece of pork that didn't get ground up. You know, I'm just gonna leave it in there. This is an excellent arm workout. Greg always does this until it's so sticky that it lifts his bowl off the table. So that is my reference. But if you can see all these little like fuzzies coming off, it's the protein extraction. I totally moved the table. All the legs are locked. That doesn't matter. The protein is too strong. Did I say arm workout? Really like upper body, abdominals, arms, shoulders, back. Damn! You wanna know why every butcher you meet is super strong? It's because they have to do shit like this. Oh! I just washed this apron. Damn it. I am going to put our mixture back in the freezer to cool down and set up the sausage stuffing station. Say that 10 times fast. Sausage stuffing station, sausage stuffing station, sausage stuffing station, sausage stuffing station. You get it. I lied. Well, I didn't lie. I forgot something. I forgot the cream. I don't want to be improper. I'm gonna do my best to not overmix the meat because I think we got it to a really good spot. I had it in the fridge and I forgot about it. Oh, Greg, forgive me for I was not paying proper attention. Rookie mistake. Hopefully it doesn't cost me a good final Hopefully it doesn't cost me a good final result. Now we're done. If we were unsure about our protein extraction before, we're sure about it now. Okay, now we're putting this in the freezer. So it is the next day. I started filming kind of late yesterday, and before I knew it, it was 9 p.m. and a good time to stop. So I just let the meat cool in the fridge overnight, and all of our grinder pieces, sausage stuffing pieces, were in the freezer overnight as well, so they're really, really cold still. I prepped our sausage casings just according to the package. I'm using the Sausage Maker brand of casings. I'm using all natural hog casings. These are the ones that Greg recommended, a brand that he likes to use. I bought them off Amazon, so I will just link those in the description for you. Greg uses 30 to 32 millimeter casings for his bratwurst. I could only find 32 to 38 millimeter casings that didn't come in a like factory size package. So hopefully these bratwursts come out a good size and not too huge. I am going to be working in sections. So I just took out, this is like a third of our meat, the rest of it's in the fridge. We're gonna just be working at a manageable pace, which will be slow. Our sausage stuffing station is all set up. I've elevated our landing zone so that the sausages do not have that far to go when they're, you know, filling. First, we have to wet the horn with some water and then take the end. Greg always grabs the casings like this and kind of wets them from the inside as well to let water run through them. And then we're just going to load up a portion of our casings onto the horn. One of my favorite things about Greg's videos is that he always makes the joke here. I remember the first time I watched one of his videos, it got to this part, and I mean, everybody thinks of the joke. Everybody, you are thinking of the joke right now. You can hear it.
I feel like this could be a useful prop for like high school health class.
And then Greg said it, and I was like, you know what? So much respect. You should be able to pretty freely move back and forth. We're just gonna take a little bit of our meat, turn Benjamin on a low setting, and then we're just gonna feed the meat through until it reaches the end of the horn. We're gonna take the end of our casing and tie it off. You don't have to tie it off now. You can also just like leave the end open and then tie it off at the very end when you are linking it up. And then we just need something sharp to poke a couple air holes in the end. Greg uses a special pin, but I'm just gonna use the tip of my knife to poke the air holes. We're gonna work at whatever pace is manageable for you, and we're just gonna work to fill up our casings. We wanna make sure not to overfill our casings because then they'll explode, and that really just defeats all of this work. So we wanna make sure to be able to pinch and leave an indent because that means then there's space to twist them into links. If you pinch it and it feels like it's gonna explode, then there's no room for us to twist them into links later. Just check them out every once in a while. I'd rather err on the side of slightly underfilling because we can always roll the links tighter. But if they're overfilled, we can't really escape the casings exploding. Okay, back to work. We need it to be just a little taller. The camera's overheating. I'll meet you back after it cools down. We're getting close to being done with the second set of links. My second set is looking much better. So air as well as heat are the enemies of sausage. Part of the reason why Greg doesn't like KitchenAids, they can get kind of warm and start to melt your fat. So far, I mean, we're pretty good. And everything seems nice and intact and not too hot. I can feel air being like plunged into here as I plunge, but it doesn't seem to be impacting our sausages particularly. It looks fine. So that is something that I've noticed. I've also noticed that if my link starts to understuff, I've just been pulling the casings back and kind of compacting the meat to be a little bit more full. We definitely have more sausages to stuff, but I'm gonna take this second and we're gonna link these up. My first one looks like my first one. The second one looks a lot better. There's a few different methods we could use to do this. We're going to use the one that Greg recommends for those of us with short attention spans who forget which way they're twisting things immediately, which is me. You can mark something on your tray to make sure that each sausage is even. I'm going to eyeball the sizes for now since we're going to have to extra twist, especially this one because it's underfilled. The first bit, pinch and then skip to the next part. We're gonna pinch both ends and we're gonna twist away from, at least I'm gonna twist away from me. You can pick whichever direction you want. But you can get away with just twisting it 3 times in one direction, but since this end is definitely better filled than this end, we're gonna do some extra twisties just to get it to be a little bit more even. The next one, we're gonna take the amount, we're gonna pinch, go up, pinch again, and then roll away from us. So we're essentially only rolling like every other section that we portion out. You know, when sausages aren't all exactly identical in size, it gives off the homemade feel and art imitates real life, you know? Our first set of links. Our second set definitely looks a little bit more even. So my knife honestly is just going to poke massive holes in the casings if I use that. So I decided just to grab a pin and sanitize it with some fire, which is what Greg does, except he uses a designated pin for this. Now we're gonna look at our beautiful little sausages and look for air bubbles, which we have plenty of, and we're just gonna give them a little pop. You don't need to poke like a ton of holes, but just getting rid of some big air pockets that we find. This protects against, you guessed it, them exploding. That's our biggest fear at this point. Turn them over, do it on the other side. At this point, our bratwursts are actually done. We can go ahead and cook them up just like this and enjoy them now. I definitely want to freeze some of these for later, but if I were to vacuum seal them and freeze them now, they would just smush flat. So the way that Greg gets around that is he poaches them, so that's what we are going to do. We'll start by heating up a pot of water to about 170 degrees. This would be a great time to use a sous vide if you have one, but we don't, so we will be babysitting our water to keep the temperature steady. Now, if the water's a little high to begin with, that's okay, because adding the brats in will bring the temperature down really quickly. Salt the water, add the brats, continuously temp the water to keep it around 170, turn up the heat, turn down the heat, and they're going to want to float, so I'd recommend weighing them down with a plate so that they are fully submerged in the water. And we'll poach them until they reach an internal temperature of 155 degrees. The brats took less than 15 minutes to get up to temp. I definitely forgot to salt the water in the beginning, but I did add the salt. It was just after I turned off the camera. So we're gonna let these chill in here for a couple of minutes, let them fully cool down, and then pull them out. Our last step after we take the brats out of their ice bath is to put them on a tray. I don't have a rack big enough. We're just going with a little too small and some help from some paper towels. And we're gonna put them in the fridge uncovered for about an hour or two just to let the surface dry a little bit. If we were to package them up now, they would all just stick together and that's not awesome. While we wait for our sausage to dry, I made a little tester patty for us to try. Try. Oh dang. Oh, that tastes real good. I would say maybe next time I'll go lighter on the white pepper because that's coming through a lot, but the flavor is really good. It's really juicy, it's really soft. The texture is really nice. I was so nervous about the texture. I thought the texture was gonna be funky. Oh, I'm excited. After about an hour and a half, 2 hours, our brats are nice and dry on the surface, and we're gonna cut them apart. Cut in between. I'm gonna cut off like any extra casing. Now we have all of our separate, unique bratwursts. Oh, this is so exciting. Thank you so much, Greg, for reaching out to do this awesome collab. I will have his video and his channel linked in the description. Please go watch his videos. They are super entertaining and educational, and he does more than homemade sausage recipes. He does a lot of how to make your own charcuterie, curing and smoking meats, butchery, and cooking. He's essentially who I want to be when I grow up. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed and learned something. If you did, please leave us a like, a comment, and subscribe for more bartending and butchery content. And until next time. Tascam is tascamming, camera is cameraing, everybody's got new batteries. We're doing the intro and the intro. We're doing the intro. What's shaking? Oh, I was gonna say, what's shaking, everybody? That's wrong. Being a fresh. Fantastic. Oh! Our fake wall fell down. The background gets kind of dark. I didn't turn on the lights in the, oh my God. Ooh, you know, my bad. I'm not redoing any of that. Oops. Who knows where I put my pen? Oh no, but like really, where'd it go? Oh, it's right there. Did I say freezer or fridge? Where's my phone? In my pocket. Okay. This is tall. Oh, you know it would be so helpful? If I plugged him in. Benjamin is hot. He was working hard. Oh, scheisse. If you would be so kind as to just like fully ignore this section, that'd be great. Thanks. I was running out of breath in that one, could you tell?